able to attain the dreams and desires that they have in order to be successful in life. And so that's the way with the Brown versus Board of Education, we saw how the race, black race and the white race, was separated, whereas the black race was getting the materials and things that was less of quality than the white race. And so it kept them down, would keep a person down or people down from being able to excel. And so that's how I related that to what's happening to the African American males in the special education SDC class. Okay, the methodology is a qualitative and quantitative mixed methodology that I used in the study, and it gave the rationale for the methodological selection. The research design and my role was also detailed. And my data collection included interviews with the students, the parents, the teachers, the school psychologists, administrators. I used the demographic information that I acquired from both of the high schools' records office, from information from the district office. I also used questionnaires, classroom observation notes where I manually went into the classes and each one of the 10 students individually at different periods and would watch them how they related to the teachers. The student focus group interviews, I had 2 at the different schools, and biographies of the student from beginning to the current placement where they were. Now, I'm going to look at a diagram from slide 11, and I called it an upside down layer diagram for my research design, which tells you exactly what my methodology consisted of. It was a mixed method which consisted of quantitative and qualitative approach. The phenomenological experiences of the students for the African American males, I put that in there, looking at their lived experiences or life experiences. The demographic data stating to show whether they're relating to research question 1, whether there was an overrepresentation of African American males at either one or both of the high schools. The biography of the students, and then I also developed 3 themes that I'll talk a little bit about a little more later. And also I use a correlation of students of the students by the parents, the teachers, the school psychologists, and the administrators. So all of this was consisted of my research design and my method of getting the data and analyzing it and so forth. The subjects of the study, again, I had 10 male students, participants who were selected on the basis of criterion and convenient sampling. Okay, and my convenient sampling, the reason I went that route because I use that because you can get more students that way by doing it on a basis where you're looking at saving on time and money. And when you're trying to save on time and money, using the convenient sampling as stated by Cresswell, then you'll be able to get more people or collect more large amount of data more quickly. And that's what I needed to do because of the situation that I was in at the time. I really needed to get a district to work with me and to be able to go ahead on and work with the student. Because I had a real hard time, it was really rough because I contacted different districts and I never knew that they were so closed-mouthed on everything when it comes to students. So I contacted the Fontana School District, Riverside School District, Rancho Cucamonga School District, all those school districts around in my area, and I was just turned down. So finally I said, well, let me try, because I used to work in Southern California before I came out to Northern California to work. And so I said, well, let me look at the school district that I taught in. I don't want to say the name, but let me look at the school district I taught in. And so I contacted the superintendent And lo and behold, I was blessed. I found out that they have a policy that they want people to come in and do research so that it will be feasible for them, because once they learn the information or whatever research that a person is doing, they will use the information to try to better how they, give to their kids, their students and faculty. And so they welcome me with open arms. They put a letter out for me, and then they got in contact with the principals at each of the schools. I wrote the letters up and gave them to them, and they sent them out for me. But it was just, it was kind of like overwhelming because I had been trying for so long, and my time was getting short. So then when the superintendent gave me the permission, the principal at school A and the vice principal at school B also coordinated with me and all the documents and things to get out to the teachers and let me come in contact with the students, and I was able to ask them and the parents to be able to work with them. And out of all of them, I was able to get 10 students. We had another high school in the district, and that I didn't get as much cooperation there. So I decided to say, okay, because my goal was to have 10 students, but if I could get more, that's what I wanted. But I was not able to. So I was able to get 5 at high school A and 5 at high school B. And so that's how it kind of congealed together.
You want to get the name of that school district out?
You want me to? It's not in my paper. I use a pseudonym, but I sure can give it to you privately.
If they're willing.
Yeah.
I can dance. I can dance.
So, but I was surprised to find that after I had been turned down so many times.
Right.
Okay.
Our phone conversations.
Yeah, we had talked about that. And, Dr. Dale was really worried about me. All right, the following criteria was used to determine the participants for the study. Again, African American male, classified as SLD and in SDC program in grades 9 through 12. And then for the parents, you guys helped me come to the conclusion that I needed more than that to bring a well-rounded view of what was going on. Parents, teachers, principals, and school psychologists, where we did my proposal defense that was brought out to me, and so that they were willing to work with me also in the district. Okay, the instrumentation that I used consisted of 6 forms of data. I had interview protocols, recorded interviews for transcription, classroom observation notes, focus group interviews, demographic information, and student survey questionnaire. The demographic instruments included the ethnicity by gender, grade, classroom classification, and percentages comparison to identify if a discrepancy existed in overrepresentation and disproportionate placement. Also, altogether, all my participants were 28, and we had in-depth interview sessions and open-end and semi-structured interview questions. I asked the same questions of each participant, and when necessary, had a follow-up of a question for clarity. Interview questions were asked regarding the experiences of the students from the parents, the teachers, administrators, and school psychologists, and also I looked at the experiences in regards to their behavior. Each interview session was audio taped, and all of them consented because I had to get that before we could go into that. And I'm the one that transcribed all of the audio tapes.
Well, I'm sure I was.
I'm sure that was.
I also, as I said before, I also attended the classroom of each of the students, participants, and I observed them during the class time, and I made notes on conditions of equity in regards to the student participants. Were they paying attention to the teacher, and how much attention were they getting from the teachers? What was the tone of the teacher? What was the expectations of the teacher, and what was the students' expectations of the teacher, in regard? And also, how were the students complying with directions? So I had my forms on that. You helped me with that form. It was really fantastic that I used for the
invoice coming to that.
Okay. Then the focus group sessions, I held those separately at high school A and B on different days. And to make it more exciting, we had pizza. And I also gave each one of the students a $20 gift card that participated. And, I audio taped that, and then I transcribed the interviews for that. One of the things I want to share was that how excited they were to learn that somebody cared, and get a little full when I think about it. But when I first started interviewing those young men, you swear that I knew them all their lives. They couldn't believe that someone was coming, talking to them about how they felt about being in STC and in the special, the special day classes. So they really opened up to me, and we kind of like a bond was formed between us and the 10. When we finally finished all of the data collecting and all of everything, they asked me on the day that I was leaving, when I went to tell them about it. They said, "You're not going to come back?" I say, "Once I get everything together and it's finished up, I'm going to come back and bring you guys a copy." And that's what I told them. So they wanted me to thing. But it was really, really nice. They say, they really care about what I think. I said, "Yes, we do care." Okay, now, the data processing and analysis. What I did was I set up a table that included the 3 research questions that guided the study and my data collection instrument. The letters IQ represents the interview questions, RQ the research questions, and then I have an X in there that represents the triangulation, because it was a triangulation because I had so many people that was involved in the data and things that I collected. Okay, so I put in here that the research question 1, for research question 1, the interview questions were 1, 9, 8, and 16. XX stands for the triangulation of working with the adult participants. Okay, research question 2, I used all of the student participants and the adult participants for this. And the student participants, I had 1 through 15 questions that related to research. Within that research question of 1 through 15, I had quite a few questions that related to the research question 2. And then research question 3, I used the students in regards to 3, 11, and 12 through 15. Also XX for the adult participants. So that's where I was relating that. So to recap, I did research questions will be answered by the interview instrument IQ. The X represents data that is used for triangulation, and the demographic data, and the information from the parents, teachers, administrators, and school psychologists was also used for the triangulation. So the researcher transcribed interview responses, the focus group responses, the observation notes, and student questionnaires. I used the Likert scale for the student questionnaire, with 1 equaling to disagree and 2 equaling to agree. And this survey covered only questions 2 and 3, not question 1. See, because my question 1 was totally about demographics. In the data analysis, chapter 4 contained the demographic data for both high schools, the biographical information among the 10 African American students in the program, and the perspectives of all of the adult participants, the teachers, school psychologists, the parents, and the principals, administrators. The analysis yielded 10 common themes, and of those 10, I decided to use 3 that were related, more common, had a common thread that related together to what they were talking about in the questions I was asked. And those related to the life goals of the students as special education. And that's the 3 themes. Okay, now, what I did was I set up an individual file for each of the group of participants. File A was for the 10 students, and their pseudonyms is A1 through A10. They have their names in their files, but I'm using pseudonyms, and that's the pseudonyms I decided to use. For file B, the 4 parents, B 1 through 4 is the student names. File C is for the 10 teachers, C 1 through C 10.